Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's Monday Memo. Now, I recently got a question from an audience member who asked me, well, Andrew, who gets all the promotions and wins all the trust of the business as a finance professional or becomes a finance leader? And I said, well, I may not know what it is for individual companies. I have a rough idea, but I also do get a lot of insight from the Value Potential Pulse. It's a recent web app I put up online, and we've had a few hundred people already input into it and get useful diagnostics on where they're strong and where they could perhaps be stronger from their asset potential to serve the business. But in terms of those readouts from the VP Pulse, what I found is that people with higher grades, so finance professionals who've gone on to become CEOs or CFOs or sort of senior level directors of VPs, tend to actually have very high scores on the impact value discipline. So the assets around sparring, partner, and tech and data savvy, they tend to have scored it either in the A's or a very high B on those areas. And then if you look at the other value disciplines and the assets supporting them and underpinning them, they're probably scoring sort of in the B's for influence and yeah, like fairly for B as well around our insights value discipline, so our financial analysis and strategic awareness assets. So it comes back again really to impact. And I suppose in terms of building that trust aspect, that in my mind comes a lot back to probably the track record from having a high impact and delivering results consistently over time, but also I suppose from engagement, and that's an area where some of the I suppose weaker results are occurring in, but also I suppose amongst the more individual contributor type roles, so analysts, advisors, consultants, to some extent controllers. What we're seeing happening there is that their engagement assets are scoring quite low. And the reason why engagement is important in building trust is I've probably shared this example or scenario before, where, like, if you think about it, there's a lot of coffee chains out there. And, why do we choose to go to one coffee chain more often than another one? Or, you know, if you think about it, we go into our workplaces and we may pass a particular security guard all the time, or like in the coffee shop with the same barista all the time. So consciously, because they're appearing in our mind's eye very, very often or regularly, we actually would start to trust them a bit more. If you think about it, if they were to be replaced by someone, maybe on they were going on vacation or whatever, would we, if we were to ask ourselves, would we have the same level of trust for the person that replaced them temporarily? I guess, in some sense, we probably wouldn't. And I guess that's the advantage some of these leaders have had is that their engagement scores are relatively much higher because they are putting themselves out there, getting out from behind their desks, talking to stakeholders, and just by being there in front of them, seem to have improved the trust levels around them. Now, what is interesting though, and I can't say for sure, is you know, are the promotions going to those with the biggest impact first, or is it a sense that the promotions have allowed people to generate bigger impacts in accounting and finance? Well, I don't know the answer to that question. It's a bit a case of does correlation mean causation or not? I can't answer that, but what I could answer is that look, if we do go about addressing our assets deficiencies in terms of engagement, in terms of tech and data savvy, and in terms of the sparring partner assets that we have, right? That second half of our value potential pulse, the second half of the assets, then I do believe we probably stand a better chance of getting the promotions, delivering an impact to the business, and being more trusted. And these topics do keep coming up again and again on the guest mentor interviews, particularly when they take us through their career journeys to begin with, how they've developed. I mean, not all of them are on senior finance levels, because if you think about most of our profession, are doing the hard yards, rolling the sleeves up, getting involved day in, day out. So their experiences are very relatable to yours, but a lot of them, particularly the ones that are the more trusted ones, have gone out there and they're very much on engagement, and they weren't always like that. So they have shared their stories in terms of how they've got over any fears, or just say got out of their comfort zone to go and talk to the business, go walk the floor, get ahead of their stakeholders' decisions, to be proactive, to become more trusted, to make an impact for them. So that's why I really enjoy, I suppose, my most favorite part of the guest mentor interviews is actually just listening into people's career stories. I mean, some of them are quite frankly amazing. And it's no accident they actually come to the start of the podcast. It's the bit I can't wait to get to, and share those with you and share with the audience. So look, I hope you found this episode useful. I hope I was able to share some useful insights around who in finance tends to get promotions or develops the most trust. And again, I'd really appreciate if you could check out the VP Pulse, because we are building that as I suppose, for our profession. As we get more and more people doing the Pulse survey, it allows us to then draw comparisons across industries or roles or countries to see what country's got the strongest on the various asset dimensions that we have, or which industry is best, to help guide you and give you a benchmark in terms of where you do well in your career and where you could perhaps have opportunities to do better, so you have more fun and rewarding careers, and end up being involved in those meaningful problems, solving those for your businesses, and in return that leads to a more interesting career for you, a career journey perhaps like some of those fascinating ones that our guest mentors have on the show. So look, that VP Pulse survey can be found at www.avfww.com/begin. And yeah, take the individual report and see how you get on. And if you find it useful, let your friends and your colleagues know and see how you compare with each other. So you can sort of find maybe one of you does better in one asset area than another. So perhaps there's an opportunity to mentor each other and bring each other along, and in effect, be that rising tide that lifts all ships of your finance colleagues around you. So look, really appreciate you investing your time with us today. And until next time, take care of yourselves, and let's keep on building our strength in the numbers.